Hello everyone, welcome to the history of CAD. So today we solve a problem on coordinate geometry which appeared in CAD 2019. Make sure that you had seen the basics of coordinate geometry before you jump onto this problem. The basics are available in the website of Storyboard. Okay, so having said this, let's start with the problem. What is being said here? Let T be the triangle formed by a straight line which is given by this equation 3x plus 5y minus 45 is equals to 0 and the coordinate axis, which means the triangle T will be a right angle triangle because x axis, y axis and then this line will be forming the triangle, so it has to be a right angle triangle. Let the circumcircle of T, which means the circumcircle which is drawn outside this triangle T is having a radius of length L. Okay, that is given to me. So the radius of the circumcircle is having a length L, measured in the same unit as the coordinate axis. So if it is centimeter or meter, it is same as the coordinate axis. Then the integer closest to L is, right. So I want, if you get an answer as 8.8, the closest integer is 9. If you get the answer as 9.8, the closest integer is 10. So I need the answer which is closest integer to your answer, and that will be my final answer. Okay, that's a theta question, so no options are available for that. So let's draw it. Again, you can just get the answer in a minute, but I'll take time to solve this because I want you to visualize as to how are things happening here. Okay, so let's make first coordinate axis. So I'll start first by drawing my x-axis. So we draw x-axis here, then we draw y-axis. Now let's put the values here with what we know about this. Let's make it shorter because we don't need this much. Yes, okay, this should be good enough. Okay, this is your x and the y-axis as it is required for you. So let's make it now. This is x-axis, y-axis, and this is your x-axis. And we make a line which is 3x plus 5y is equals to 45. Okay, so what will be if I put x as 0 in this? If I put x as 0, what will I get? I'll get y as what? 5y is equals to 45 then. So y is equals to 9. Okay, I get y is equals to 9. I get y is equals to 9 when I put x is equals to 0. So that is my y coordinate. Okay, that is 0, 9. Now put y is equals to 0. If you put y is equals to 0 in this, so x will turn out to be what? X will turn out to be 15. Okay, at x as 0, y becomes equal to 9. Okay, that is your then y coordinate. So y as 0, x becomes equal to 15. So this is your x coordinate, which is equal to 15, 0, which means this is how your line is passing. So if I had to just plot this line, how will the line look like? This is how the line would look like. Okay, this is how this line would look like. This is your line which is given by the equation 3x plus 5y is equals to 45. So we know that. Now this is your triangle. If you can see it here, if I can name it this would be your triangle. This is A, B and C. This is your triangle. Okay, and as we knew this is a right angle triangle. Now this is a right angle triangle which is given by T. Now we have to draw a circumcircle to that. So what is a circumcircle? Circumcircle is a circle touching the three vertices of this. So if I have to draw a circumcircle to this is how probably it would look like. Right, this would be the circumcircle of this, touching all the three vertices of this triangle. What will be measure radius of this circumcircle? Okay, and that is given to be as L. So you know that now property, we had studied this in geometry classes, that for a right angle triangle the circumradius is always half of the hypotenuse, because the hypotenuse is nothing but the diameter, right? If you draw a circumcircle for a right angle triangle, the diameter will always be the hypotenuse. The hypotenuse of a right angle triangle will be the diameter of the circle, which means half of the hypotenuse. Your hypotenuse divided by 2 will be your what? Circumradius, right? This is This is the property that we have studied. So which means half of the hypotenuse will be your circumradius, and now you can find it out, right? Because you know that this is 15, this length is 15, okay, and you also know that this length is 9. So you can apply the Pythagoras theorem, get this and get the hypotenuse, take half of the hypotenuse, take the nearest integer to that, and you will reach to the answer. Now before I find it out the answer, I just want you to visualize as to why the half of the hypotenuse is equals to the circumradius. Okay, let's just visualize this thing even before we go ahead and solve this problem. So let's come on to our graph plotter, and let's make a triangle, and let's visualize as to why is this happening in the right angle triangle. Okay, what actually is this property? So let's make a triangle. This any triangle that I am drawing, and now I am looking for the angle of this. So let's look for an angle. This angle is known, and let's put another angle. This angle is also known, and let's put another angle to this. So we know all the three angles here. Now I draw a circumcircle. So do you remember how do we draw a circumcircle? We had studied this in geometry. Perpendicular bisector. We did a revision of this in mensuration as well. So perpendicular bisector this, perpendicular bisector of this, and perpendicular bisector of this. Okay, perpendicular bisector means a line which is a perpendicular as well as it is bisecting the side. Okay, now I take the intersection of this three, which is this, and with this as a center, the intersection point of the perpendicular bisector as a center, I draw a circle. Okay, this is my circumcircle, if you can see it here, and I can just color it so that we understand it better. Let's just give it a color. This is your circumcircle. Okay, now what is this? This is still not a right angle triangle. Okay, so if we make this to be a right angle triangle, what will happen? Let's make this to be a right angle triangle. Okay, I'm taking this here, let's take this here. So I'm trying to make this, see, as soon as I try to make this a right angle triangle, the circumcenter, which is E, which is just anywhere right now, it is coming closely onto the hypotenuse, closely. As I make the angle 92, 91, as I make the angle to be 90, that's it. This is where you can get it now. Okay, this is the now half of the hypotenuse of a right angle triangle is nothing but the circumradius of a circumcircle, such that the diameter of the circumcircle becomes the hypotenuse of a right angle triangle. Okay, so half of the hypotenuse is nothing but the circumradius. That's what you understand from this. In case you are still not convinced, let's take a midpoint here. So if you want to be precise about this, I'm clicking on the midpoint and I'm taking a midpoint of this. So I took a midpoint of this. If you want to understand what is the midpoint, this is the midpoint. F is actually the midpoint. Let's color this for a better understanding. Let's give it a color, and let's now think about it. Okay, we had given it a color. Now see, initially both of them look to be different. Since it's not a right angle triangle, but the midpoint becomes equal to the center of the circle as soon as the angle becomes here to be 90. Okay, which means what? The midpoint of the hypotenuse is equal to the center of the circumcircle, right? Such that half of the hypotenuse is equal to the circumradius. Okay, because the midpoint here of the hypotenuse is equal to the center of the circumcircle. Okay, I hope you can visualize this right now. In simple ways, the hypotenuse is the diameter when you draw a circumcircle in a right angle triangle. Okay, with this understanding, now let's come on to our problem again. So we know how does this thing is happening. Now we just need to get the answer for this. Okay, so let's get the answer for AC, and half of AC will be my circumradius. So what is that equal to? Now it's all about calculation. So let's start. AC will be equal to 9 square plus 15 square root of that will be equal to my AC, applying the Pythagoras theorem here. So what is this equal to now? This will be equal to 3 into 5 is 15, and 3 square. So if I take out this, just 3 square out of this what will be remaining here will be, this is 3 square, so this is what, 9 square, right? So let's just find it out in this way. Yeah, I think that will be easier. Let's just put it 9 square will be 81, 15 square will be 225, take a square root of that. 5 plus 1 will be 6, 8 plus 2 will be 10, 306. Now how can I write this as, will this be divisible by 9? Yes, that will be divisible by 9. So I can write this as 9 into what, 9 3s are 27, 9 4s are 36, 9 into square root of 34. So this becomes 3 into square root of 34, because that will come out. Okay, if you know now what is square root of 36, 6. So square root of 34 will be equal to what? Will be approximately equal to 5.8, right? Will be approximately equal to 5.8. So if this becomes equal to 5.8, then 5.8 into this. Okay, see, this is the closest that you want. You will be having a calculator, so no need to worry about that. You will just find out what is square root of 3.4, multiply it by 3, then divide it by 2 to get to the answer. But I am telling you how can you find out approximately. So if you are saying this is square root of 34 and this is close to 6 but less than 6, close to 6 but less than 6 it will be, because it is square root of 34, square root of 36 is 6. But if I consider this to be 6 into 3 will be approximately equal to 18, and 18 divided by 2, that will be equal to 9. Correct, but this will not be 9, this will be slightly less than 9, say 8.7 or 8.8. But they didn't ask you that answer, they ask you what is the closest integer, the integer closest to L, that will be 9, because your answer will be equal to 8.7 or 8.8. Okay, or in case you want to find it out, so find out, you will be having a calculator there. So square root of 34 is equals to 5.8, so this becomes 3 into 5.8. If you multiply this 5.8 into 3, that will be equal to 17.5. That will be equal to 17.5. Okay, now 17.5 divided by 2 will be equal to what? Just bring it here. 17.5 divided by 2 will be equal to 8.7, as we thought of it to be. Okay, and the nearest integer close to 8.7 is nothing but 9. So this is how you can solve it by using the calculator. But in case you want to just approximate it without using the calculator, because even the answer is asking you to approximate, so why to get a calculator? So I got it, square root of 34 should be equal to approximately 6, because square root of 36 is 6. So 6 into 3, 18. 18 divided by 2, 9, but I'll get slightly less than 9. But they are not asking me the exact answer of 8.7, 8.8, so the nearest integer will be 9. Okay, that's what you understand from this. So that's it. Now the problem is solved. Okay, the only thing you have to remember here is the diameter of a right angle triangle is equal, diameter of a circumcircle is equal to the hypotenuse of a right angle triangle.